Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you're here, lovely. I am super excited to share this very personal story with you today, which really is going to highlight the topic for today's video, which is what happens when you lead with the feminine first. We're going to be talking about surrendering, trusting, all of the very difficult things to do when we live in a masculine, success-based world. And I'm going to share a really important takeaway, which is basically boils down to the breakthrough comes after the breakdown, something like that. So stick with me. I'm super excited to really share this with you because it's going to be really impactful for how you take on this information and implement it into your life. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, scroll down below, hit that like button as well. Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway is from today's video once you've watched it. Check out the links in the description as well. There are 3 free gifts for you to really dive into starting to implement all of the work that we talk about here on this channel. And there is a super exciting brand new upcoming course that I'm going to be teaching live for the first time only called Rest for Success, which is really guiding you to create rest as a core component for your strategy of creating success, whether that's in your life, your business, your career. Make sure you hit that link in the description so that you can get on the wait list for that. This is a zero pressure wait list. It's really just for you to be the first to hear about all the updates, bonuses, discounts, all of that good stuff. So make sure you check that out as well. Without further ado, let's get into today's video of what happens when you lead with the feminine. So I'm going to share a very brief overview of the massive, what I am now calling initiation that happened to me over the last couple months. And it's really also a great example of the fact that when you start doing this work, you are always going to be in this work, okay? I've had a lot of situations like this throughout my life, and I have not always handled it in the best way. And that's been part of my work of how do I remove myself from this heavy masculine energy and start tapping more into the feminine. And this has been an incredible experience, not necessarily in the moment. It was very, very, very hard in the moment. But looking back now, it's been, as I just said, this sort of initiation into how do I lead with the feminine even more? How do I tap into this work that I'm doing and I'm sharing with you on an even deeper level so that we can create even deeper transformations and spread this work on a greater scale? Okay, so this is all going to make sense in a moment. Basically, I experienced a month-long shit show, okay? And this is where I'm like, the breakthrough only comes after the breakdown. Things need to crumble and kind of be thrown through the washing machine a little bit so that you have the chance to create space. That's a huge component of this feminine energy, creating space for something new and better to come into your life, okay? But the way that you show up through your initiations, through the in the moment shit things that happen, you're like, this really freaking sucks right now. How do you move through that? That is how you lead with the feminine first approach. And I'm going to just show you exactly what that meant for me and what this shit show meant, what this literal shit show was for me. So I spent the last couple months living in Mexico. It was a great experience and opportunity for me to live the time freedom lifestyle that I teach all of you here and my clients and that I talk about, and embody the message that I share, right? It's so important to me that I am not just teaching you something, but that I'm literally living the message that I teach, right? So while I was there, tons of things happened that were just really, really, really not ideal. I got food poisoning in a very aggressive way. I had my phone stolen. My Instagram business account was deactivated with 0 warning. I almost didn't make it back home on the plane due to, all the crazy regulations that are happening right now. So there was just a lot of stuff that was happening in the moment that felt really, really shitty, right? We all know what that feels like when you're in it and you're like, what else are you going to give me? Like, what else are you going to throw in my path right now? I don't know if I can handle it, right? It just feels like one thing after the other is being thrown at you. I think we can all relate to that. And if you have any crazy stories about that or just normal stories about that and you want to share them in the comments, please do. This is the space to put it all out there, right? So what did that mean for me? The first thing that I did was I really allowed myself to feel what I needed to feel, because when things come up and it feels shitty and you are on this path of, you know, being in a transformational place for yourself, you're wanting to change how you respond to things and show up for things, it can be easy to kind of bypass the natural emotional response that we have and just be like, oh, it's fine. Let me tap into flow. I'll just surrender. I'll just trust. And we're not actually giving ourselves space or permission to feel really angry or really sad or really alone. Like in that time, I'll be really honest with you, I felt super alone. I felt disconnected because I didn't have access to my community, to a phone for an entire week, mind you, because I was in this tiny little town where I couldn't get a phone there. I had to make a whole trip out of going into the big city to get it. And so really just letting myself and letting yourself in these moments be in whatever is coming up and letting that be okay, not needing to immediately change it. Like I said, when you're on this journey, we have the tendency to want to make ourselves feel better as quickly as possible, which is great. Of course, we want to feel better again, but we want to make sure that we're also allowing the emotions that come up to be there, right? And the second thing then that I did once I let that pass is I really just let the F go. Right? I think and I can speak for anyone who is heavily in their masculine energy, we have a tendency to hold a tight grip on how things go, on the process in which we want our success to happen, in the way we envision things playing out, whether that's in a relationship or in your business or in your career or in the success that you're wanting to create, or even in your health goals. You're like, it has to be this way and I must make it so. And the more you are in control, the better you feel, right? Because you feel like you have a say in how things play out. And then something like this happens and you're like, how do I control it? So the second thing here is, how can you let go of the grip of needing to control right away and kind of like see how things start to play out when you're not in control, when you're not trying to put every piece into place before, you have the perspective or the lesson of what this was meant to teach you, right? So letting the F go of my tendency and want to control, which is just a basic theme in my life. And I know that this is my main focus when I'm tapping into the feminine, is knowing, okay, I'm going to want to control. So I'm really super aware of that. And how do I shift that so that I can release my grip and that I can fall more into surrendering and trusting that this happened for a reason. Like I am being initiated right now, and you can choose to make any situation mean anything. And I truly believe that having a situation that really isn't going your way, making it be that initiation for you to say, what am I being tested on here? How can I see this as a positive test or an opportunity to show up as the woman who I want to be showing up as? What is the next level version of me, and how would she be showing up in this situation? And really practicing embodying that, or taking the lessons of what the situation is giving you and implementing them. And part of that for me in this particular situation, and I know that this is my greater lesson, is letting go of control and seeing how things play out and trusting that things will fall into place for me, that things always work out for me. Maybe not initially, maybe it doesn't seem like that initially, but in the grand scheme of things, things are always working out for me. So this really gave me the opportunity, and I'll give you this example, to re-envision how I wanted to be creating my communities, how I wanted to be creating this space, and the fact that Instagram was really draining tons of my energy. I have been spending way too much time on there, and the ROI wasn't paying off in the way that it used to. Instagram is like a whole nother story, and their algorithm has changed a ton. And so it really gave me the time and the space and the perspective to be like, okay, how do I actually want to be doing things? What can I be doing instead? And I did. I've shifted the way that I'm showing up on Instagram and really brought the focus to my email list, to you guys here. And the third thing that I want to share here, which just ties in together, is what was the feminine piece that I wanted to be leaning into more. And for me, that was really creating space. There's tons of different aspects of the feminine, but it was making letting go feel safe, making being in control, or not being in control rather, feel safe, and doing so by really tapping into the power of creating space. And what I did in order to do that was connect deeply, even on a deeper level, to my intuition. What did I feel was the right next step? Instead of needing to immediately create a plan, which my control freak side 100% wanted to do, how can I create space and just see if my intuition will give me the next right step? What feels really good right now? And being in that environment where I could create space because I wasn't distracted with being on Instagram and feeling like I needed to create content because I literally couldn't. It gave me the space to tap into that silence, that intuitive side of me, and say, okay, what do I want to do next? And that's literally where I was like, this Rest for Success course needs to happen now. It has been being in the process of being created and birthed for like the last 6 months. And I just got that download of like, it needs to happen now. And that's what happens when we're so in our masculine, is there's so many distractions all the time because we have this expectation that we need to be doing, right? That's how the masculine works. In order to be successful, you need to be doing. And so when we tap out of that and we tap into that feminine, and you can say, okay, I'm creating space now. What's that intuition telling me to do? Or what am I feeling called to do? You can be like, oh, I've created space, and now I have space to tap into creating this course, which I did not have before. So really what I want to show you with this story is, how do we move through from like very heavy masculine into the feminine? But also that if you are really heavily in your masculine, I'm going to bet with you that you're getting some serious signs right now, whether it's burnout, because that's a sign, whether it's, things that are happening at work, or where you're feeling like doors are closing or opportunities are kind of crashing a little bit, or you're not getting access to things anymore. Maybe things are being shut down around you. Like, what are the signs that are happening around you that's like, hey, stop doing, and just pause for a moment, or focus on this thing instead. A lot of times when something doesn't work out, our initial response is to be like, shit, it didn't work out. Like, I wanted that thing, as opposed to say, okay, if it didn't work out, what's coming my way instead? What am I meant to be looking at instead? And that's where that feminine and intuitive guidance side comes in, where when we are aware of that, we can tap into that energy. And instead of it being a failure point, because of course the masculine energy promotes this idea of failure. If you're not working hard enough, it becomes this opportunity for a new possibility, right? And this is what I want to leave you with, this concept of your breakdown brings your breakthrough. So when things aren't going your way, when things aren't happening the way that you expected, or as fast as you were expecting them to, and you're frustrated, really looking at, okay, what is breaking down right now that maybe just isn't aligned for me anymore? And what can I move into? How can I be in the feminine so that I'm open to the opportunity of what the breakthrough is meant to be here? So that I'm aware that when this door opens, or when this, new thing comes through, that I'm listening and I'm ready for it, and I'm ready to take action on it. Again, when we're doing, and we're staying in the masculine, and we're trying to push through everything that's breaking down, and we're like, doesn't matter, I'm going to keep doing it anyways, then we're not aware, and we're not looking, and we're going to miss that different opportunity. And then we're just going to get a bigger breakdown to be like, hey, I showed you that other opportunity. Why weren't you listening? Right? So that is my story. I could talk about that for hours because there are so many things that happen, but I wanted to keep it short and sweet for you, and really just bring you back to this mantra. Your breakdown brings your breakthrough. And the process of getting to that breakthrough is tapping into your feminine energy. That's going to be the thing that shifts you into alignment and aligns you with the thing that's going to make you successful, aligns you with how you're meant to be showing up in order to create success. So leave your comments in the description, in the comment section below. Check out the description to join the Rest for Success waitlist. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you here next time.